not reading with proficiency. So across town, a call to action, with Read to Succeed Buffalo announcing it is expanding its volunteer program.
This program steps in to support our students to become fluent readers.
Read to Succeed Buffalo currently operates in 8 schools, but needs your help to expand its programming to mentor a total of 400 students. And the work is rewarding.
Learning to read like you speak, and with the comfort and self-confidence of doing that, is so palpably contagious when you see these kids with a smile on their face.
Jeff Russo, 7 News.
That's great, Jeff. We're so glad to be a part of that program that provides those books, and it's so nice to see those smiles on their faces. Still to come on Good Morning Buffalo, the new way SNAP recipients can use benefits and get a little something extra in return. Plus,
coming up in just a bit, it's springtime. They're getting ready for the perfect show for this time of year, Romance. I'm Mike Randall. We'll have that story coming up.
welcome back. As we head into those warmer months, people who get SNAP benefits and local farmers could get a boost. Governor Hochul's office announcing a Fresh Connect, Fresh to You program. So if you qualify, you get $2 back for every $2 spent on produce at farmers markets. The hope is that the program helps SNAP recipients and local farmers. Feed More Western New York says it comes at a time when food insecurity is still a major problem. 446, the Cataract City now has a one-of-a-kind cannabis shop open to the public. Nativa Cannabis cut the ribbon yesterday. It's a 2,500 square foot marijuana dispensary, the only one owned by the Seneca Nation. The general manager tells us anyone 21 and older is welcome. All the products on the shelves are locally sourced and tested.
For me, it's an honor to be here and to be a part of the social good that is happening right now by empowering the nation to get this off of the ground.
You know, I guess weed has this name to be bad or whatever. I mean, it helps out in everyday's life.
All right, the store is located next to the Seneca One Stop on the corner of John B. Daly Boulevard and Niagara Street. Up next, Josh is going to have your summer-like forecast. Stay with us after this break.
Well, from near record-setting blizzards to cold of historic proportion to 134 inches of snow, I think it's safe to say we all need a break. And you know what? We're about to get it in a big way as we enjoy some of the finest spring weather imaginable and really a taste of summer here in Western New York. Today is kind of a carbon copy of yesterday. We're still going to have that breeze that's going to act as natural air conditioning for downtown Buffalo, but a good supply of sunshine. And as you get away from the water, you'll experience a big climb in temperature. So downtown Buffalo may be into the mid-60s today, but the southern tier will be near 80 degrees. As we head into Friday, everyone from Hilltop to Lakeshore gets in on the act. And we're going to be talking about not only near record high temperatures, but in some spots, record high temperatures into the 80s. It stays warm into the weekend. Showers will return by the end of the weekend, marking a change for the cooler coming our way early next week. This was not a very difficult graphic to put together. Cut, paste, that sun icon across the board. Temperatures by later this afternoon again into the mid-60s. So definitely grab the shades as you head out the door. Let's roll that weekend forecast. And again, I think Friday we're sporting near record or record high temperatures. Saturday's a little cloudier. Sunday offers up an opportunity to pick up on some showers and some thundery downpours as well as a cold front makes its way through. These are some of the wind gusts that I think we might see today. Maybe just a shade lower than yesterday, but still can't rule out some gusts as you head further east into especially Genesee and Wyoming counties on the order of 35 to 40 miles per hour later this afternoon. Again, that's typical. Whenever there is warmth coming in, there's usually wind. Those winds will settle down on Friday. That gives us that opportunity for everyone to warm up. And then heading into Saturday, it does turn a little cloudier. There's a system towards the coast that will stay off the coast, but that's the main act right there. It's a cold front. It will bring showers and thunderstorms to the area by late Sunday night and into early Monday, and that is quite the pool of cool up here. Low pressure spinning to our north will mean, yes, some wet snowflakes flying in the upper Great Lakes. It doesn't mean a return to winter by any stretch, but it will be more like April or maybe even March around these parts by then. Let's not think about that. Let's think about the good stuff. There will be a solid amount of rain with this, I think, coming, so that might be good for the farm fields and gardens. 55 degrees the temperature right now. Again, you can see that microcosm effect here in Buffalo, while it's 71 already in Dunkirk. So on average, 60 degrees here for the day today with plenty of full sunshine, but we're near 80 into the southern tier. Tonight, mainly starlit, breezy, mild, the overnight low 46. There is that super 7-day forecast. Read it and smile. Increasing clouds, though, will mark Saturday, Sunday near 80 for just a day, and then a whole other ball game early next week. And we'll be right back. Stay with us.
If you think spring is just the start of allergy season, the talented folks of O'Connell & Company would like to prove you wrong.
Someplace out in the country, away from all the wear and tear.
Spring has sprung, love is in the air, and there's so much love in this musical, it has romance in the title twice.
It's not just romance, we need romance.
Lisa Ludwig directs Romance.
Well, Romance is a show. It was actually on Broadway, off-Broadway in the 80s. Actually a 2-act musical. There's 2 different acts.
Each act is a different story and different time period. The show is for lovers of all ages, according to the stars, Bobby Cook and Jen Stafford.
Yeah. People at all stages of the romance journey.
That's a really good way to put it.
Thank you.
Because in both shows, in both acts, there are things that are fun and will maybe make people think about how they look at romance.
There's singing, dancing, and lots of love. The other half of the cast, Thomas Evans and Gretchen Didio, say, come on down.
Oh, definitely. I think they're going to feel a very wide range of emotions. Love being one of them, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a very wonderful, fun show.
The show is being staged in one of the area's most popular and intimate theaters. The show opens this Friday right here at Shea Smith Theater, and this is the place to be, especially if you're looking for romance. So forget those winter blues if you're looking for some happy singing faces, singing to a live band, that is.
Goodbye and real adieu.
Join 4 great actors, 2 musicals in one fantastic evening at Romance. Mike Randall, 7 News, Buffalo.
Mike, thank you. Coming up, I'm following up with a group of snowmobilers. I'm going to tell you the one thing they say they need to save more lives in emergencies like the Christmas blizzard. Then later, a deadline looming in the battle over access to abortion medication. We're digging into the impact a federal ban on one drug could have nationwide and here in New York State.
Streaming live to start your day, this is Good Morning Buffalo.
Well, good morning, Buffalo, and happy Thursday. As you look live at the city of Buffalo, you're going to notice how pretty it is, but you're also going to notice something else in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. 55 degrees already here at 5 a.m.
Para Nichols. We'll say good morning to you at 5 o'clock.
Just one Nichols, I thought. What are you talking about?
Fine, you're right, absolutely. Good morning to you.
Nichols.
I know where my brother is. It's California somewhere.
Well, good for him. It's probably nicer out there than it is here, though. Behold, here we are, almost 80 degrees this week.
Yeah, and we're talking about temperatures into record high territory. I think the record will be broken tomorrow in Buffalo as I project at least 79 degrees. I believe the record is 78 set back in 1968. So the warmest in 55 years by the time we get into tomorrow. What can we expect here for the day today? Something very close to yesterday, a carbon copy of what we saw yesterday. Plenty of sunshine coming your way, but still that local air conditioning off of Lake Erie in downtown Buffalo owing to that southwesterly breeze. We've got sun, and as I mentioned, temperatures entering record high territory on Friday. Remember, normal highs right now are right around 60. To get to 80 degrees, you're talking something that you would expect in June. As we head into the weekend, it stays warm, but showers will return, especially as we head into Sunday. We will find some of those wind gusts still, especially at the waterfront, close to 30 miles per hour in speed, and we are going to be seeing some of those winds accelerating just a little bit east of Buffalo. 53 right now with a clear sky. It's some 5 to almost 10 degrees warmer than what it was yesterday at this time. And look at all that clear sky. Satellite radar look great right now from hilltop to lakeshore. We are in fine shape. And again, if you're taking that ride to work or you're making that ride home, you're going to need the sunglasses, maybe just a light windbreaker here as you head out the door, and then those temperatures make their way into the mid-60s in Buffalo, but we're closing in on 80 today even in the southern tier. So a taste of summer, but changes for the cooler need to be talked about. We'll address that in the Super 7-day forecast in just a bit.
We'll worry about that then, Josh.
That's a next week problem.
Thank you. Don't forget at 5:13 we're taking our conversation to your phone.
Yeah, we're going to learn more about the state's push to ban schools from using Native American mascots, logos, and names that could be considered offensive. We're also going to talk about some of the fun things to do once this weather starts to warm up.
Well, it's here.
Is happening right now. But let's get you started first with your morning sprint. This is breaking overnight. A federal appeals court blocking parts of an order by a judge in Texas to suspend the FDA's approval of an abortion drug. The court only partially granted the request by the Justice Department to put the ruling on hold, with the panel effectively making it harder to obtain. So coming up at 5:30, we're going to take a deeper look at the likelihood of this case headed to the Supreme Court and the potential impact.
The wait continues for state lawmakers to pass the budget for next year. They've got until Monday to pass a second extension. I spoke to Assemblyman Bill Conrad, who represents parts of the Tonawandas, Kenmore, and Buffalo, about some of the sticking points here. He said issues on bail reform and affordable housing continue to hold up the vote. In the end, Conrad said there's got to be a compromise from all sides. What needs to be given or taken to get this budget passed?
There's going to be give and take. There's going to be things that you have to support and some things that you're going to have to give in. And you have to listen to the public. The public safety is a major concern across the state. It's not hidden. Everyone knows. Same thing with the housing. There's an affordability issue. There's gas. There's all these number of things that are going on in this budget, and we have to make sure that we do everything correctly.
Passing the budget extension assures that some 83,000 state workers get paid. Lawmakers, however, will not be paid until the budget is passed. Again, that new deadline is Monday night.
Happening today, Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz will deliver his 2023 State of the County address at the Downtown Library. He's going to look ahead at what's to come for the county and give an update on the past year. We'll have more tonight on 7 News at 5 and 6.
It's time to tempt your appetite and try something new. The spring edition of Buffalo Restaurant Week kicks off on Monday, an opportunity to try out new restaurants or go back to an old favorite.
People like to eat. People are excited about the possibility of going out and discovering new restaurants in Erie County, and this is a fantastic platform for our locals and our visitors to get out and experience the great cuisine throughout all of Erie County.
Many Buffalo Restaurant Week specials start at $20.23. We've got a list of participating restaurants right now on WKBW.com. Josh?
Yeah, some of the finest spring weather imaginable continues. Obviously, this was not a difficult graphic to make. Sunshine from hilltop to lakeshore from morning till midday until afternoon. Temperatures will be climbing into the mid-60s in Buffalo, but just to remember that all weather is local. And this says it all right here. Get away from the water and into places like the southern tier. And we're shooting for the middle, if not upper 70s. I wouldn't be shocked to see a few valleys touching 80 degrees later today.
Josh, thank you. Members of Western New York snowmobile clubs braved the elements in December, rescuing stranded drivers and moving them to safety in the blizzard. I rode along with them in late December to show you how they saved the lives of dozens of people. But they tell me right now, with the equipment that they have, they could have done more if they had different things and done it faster. So this morning, I'm following up on their push to get that equipment. I'm going to show you how they're hoping it'll be part of this year's state budget. During Buffalo's Christmas blizzard, it was one of the only ways to get around.
It just goes over anything. You know, I can go through 8-10-foot drifts, and it's just like cutting butter.
Rich McNamara from the Northern Erie Snow Seekers Snowmobile Club drove this snowmobile trail groomer days on end across a western New York, all but paralyzed by the snow. Rich took doctors and nurses to and from hospitals. Thanks for the ride! He also rescued dozens of stranded drivers in the Newstead Clarence area.
On that Friday night, we rescued roughly 41 people. It took us about 10, 11 hours.
In fact, about 250 drivers got stranded in that area.
Plans have changed on behalf of the Thruway Authority, closing the Thruway down, and it's putting a burden on local emergency managers in smaller towns where the traffic now is being pushed off the Thruway onto local municipalities.
So the towns of Newstead and Clarence have been working with snowmobile clubs on a plan to buy 2 of these heated passenger cabs. Groomers only have space for a couple of people. With a cab attached, they could fit many more.
When I was picking up those 41 people, I would pass them and say, I'll be back. And that's scary for a person out there, not knowing when you couldn't see more than 2-3 feet in front of you.
Those cabs would connect right here to the back of the groomer. They could carry 10 people plus a gurney, really cutting down on the time it takes to do rescues. And we know in weather like we saw during the blizzard, those minutes matter.
Minutes could be a matter of life and death. So moving these people that much faster, it's going to save them from the frigid temperatures that we had and frostbite, hypothermia.
2 cabs would cost about $200,000. The clubs in the towns are working with State Senator Pat Gallivan to get them funded in the state budget.
And the cost here is not that exorbitant. It's not that we're talking millions and millions or tens of millions of dollars.
The plan is to base one of the cabs in northern Erie County and the other in the southern part of the county. If the funding goes through this year, the hope is to have these cabs ready to go in time for winter. Guys like Rich, who spent their Christmas helping others, say they'd do it again. And the cabs would let them do even more next time.
You know, it's enjoyable. I was out there rescuing these people. I didn't feel as like I was rescuing after the fact. When you get the letters from parents and wives that you saved their family, that feels good.
Well, there you go. But we mentioned this at the top of the show, that state budget's still in flux right now, so we don't know if that $200,000 is going to be coming.
Rich McNamara was really the Christmas miracle for so many people.
He rescued 41 people by himself.
Wow.
And then altogether, 250 people rescued from Newstead and Clarence.
It just goes to show you how important this equipment is. Don't forget, on the other side of this break, we're merging our traditional newscasts on your phone.
Okay, in a couple minutes, you can comment on some of the big stories in our community, including some ways to spend this warm weather weekend. Where are you planning to go? Get your phones ready. Head to Facebook. We'll see you after the break. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back. It is 5:12 on the start of your Thursday morning, a nice warm Thursday as you're headed out today. And we're going to talk about the things you're planning to do in this warmer weather.
We also want to hear from you about that about the mascot legacy in your school, whether it's an indigenous mascot or name, and the possibility of it going away. What do you think about that? Is it affecting your school community? I was going to reference the Lancaster Legends because we know it happened years ago in Lancaster as well. They were called one thing in particular, that mascot, and that logo has changed. But first, we'll dig into some of today's top stories. 2 high school athletes accused of harassing a teammate are fighting to be allowed back in school. Starpoint High School suspended the rest of its wrestling season after learning about serious allegations back in February. Last month, the Niagara County Sheriff's Office charged 2 17-year-olds with harassment. Now, an attorney for one of the students says they plan to sue so they can go back to the classroom. Right now, the school is providing alternative education for those students with tutors after school hours. The New York State Board of Regents will soon vote on regulations forcing schools to change offensive indigenous names and logos. That includes at the Iroquois School District. If they don't fit new state regulations, they could lose education funding. The district is still waiting to see if the Seneca Nation grants them permission to keep their current branding. Meantime, school leaders and students alike are working together to draft new name and mascot ideas. They'll present the final options to the school board in June. Okay, so we want to know what you think about that. Should these names be going away? Do you think that this is something that is important in your school community? We want to hear from you. Good morning to you, Grace. She's saying that it's just crazy. They've had these for years, and all of a sudden they want to change everything. And I think that was kind of the conversation in Lancaster all those years ago when they were what many consider to be an offensive name, especially when it comes to Native Americans, and they've become the Lancaster Legends ever since. And, you know, we don't want to dig up old, unfortunate
Controversy?
circumstance.
Yeah,
right.
sure.
But here we are. I mean, it's still on the forefront.
Connie's echoing what Grace is saying stop, these logos have been in place forever. I think maybe the thing that we need to think about too, though, is like, let's put ourselves in other people's shoes.
Right.
I'm wondering if there are any members of our Native American community who are joining us right now and how you feel about that, because maybe people have a different take if they grew up differently and they have different customs, different cultures. Maybe they're seeing things differently. It means more to
That's exactly the point, is that it's culturally acceptable
Right.
or not acceptable.
Right.
Kelly, good morning to you. We had to change our mascot in West Seneca, and my hometown changed their mascot as well. I think it's not offensive, but I am not indigenous either.
Well, right, exactly. And then here's the other thing too. When you change a mascot, does it actually change anything at the school?
Right.
Minus the name. Does it change the school community? Does it change what the school is? Does it change the students, the teachers? It doesn't. It's a name.
It's all about culture.
Exactly. To me, it is what, like my school mascot was a shark.
We were the Warriors, but growing up on Long Island, so many of our towns and cities were named after Indian tribes.
Right, same here, sure.
So for us, it was like the Wantagh Warriors. It was a Native American asset. So for us to change that mascot, it was almost like we were ignoring our history and ignoring our past. Connie says, who's the squeaky wheel on this? I don't think my school needs to be changed. Interesting. And it all comes down to that State Board of Regents that's voting one way or another in the coming days and weeks.
All right. So that's something that we're talking about this morning, and something that has a lot of people chatting about online. So let's also talk screen time, Ed.
Yeah, hello.
You want to read this story for us here?
Sure. If you've ever given your child a screen to help them stop a tantrum.
And many people may not have, if we think about it, because many people didn't have that when their kids are growing up.
Okay, well, maybe nowadays they do.
Right.
You might want to think twice. Research shows it could impact their emotional regulation long term. Doctors say it's important that children learn how to manage their emotions and identify their feelings. Otherwise, when they get older, they could have trouble expressing themselves. Instead, they say to help the child identify how they're feeling, because often they don't know how they're feeling.
Okay.
Doctors also say you can give them a quiet space to collect themselves, but don't send them to their room as if they're being punished. Okay, wait, hold on a second. So there are so many moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas who are joining us this morning, and we're glad you're here. But how many of you sent your kids to their bedroom when they were being punished?
I know I got sent to my room.
I did too.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing though. When we talk about like a child having a tantrum over screen time, you could potentially be looking at a couple different age groups there. If you've got like a 2 or 3 year old who's having a tantrum, there's no point in sending them to the room. They don't really understand it anyways. They're too little. If you're having like a 10-year-old who's throwing a fit over that, now I'm not saying it's the most effective thing, but it's a little bit different.
How often are you giving your child or your grandchild their iPad to kind of occupy their time and say, go play a game or go watch a YouTube video? I think we see a lot of parents, especially when it comes to like dinners.
Yeah. Dinners out, you mean?
Exactly.
Yes,
to stop
yes.
them from misbehaving so that they can focus their energy and their attention on one thing.
Now, listen, I see both of it, because I think there are a lot of people who will say, oh, too much screen time, or we shouldn't be doing that. And like, of course, kids should learn how to eat at a restaurant, right? So they can have that experience. But at the same time, parents also deserve that mental break sometimes. So like if maybe half the dinner they're, sitting, they're learning to eat, they're interacting with a waiter or waitress, they're learning those, life skills, social skills. And then the rest of the time, mom and dad are like, you did a great job. Here's a little reward. And then you can have some adult time chatting. I think that's the best of both worlds.
Grace, glad you're with us this morning and appreciate you commenting. And don't forget, for our folks on TV, this is your opportunity to really weigh in. This all started in the schools with the iPads. They should stick to learning by the books, not iPads. See, that's interesting. How many of your kids are actually even using textbooks these days? From what I understand, a lot of this is actually done on an iPad. Mary says, not me. I sat them down, waited a bit, and then we discussed the behavior. Never had bad children as they grew older.
And that's important, because you have to talk to them about what was and was not okay, how they're feeling. A lot of the times it's managing feelings, right? They're just frustrated.
Kelly says pretty much what you're saying, Katie, about being able to have that adult time, especially at a restaurant. The mental break is everything.
Yeah, and I think you do need that sometime. I think also about, remember the traveling that you used to when you were younger, and there was no, TV in the car. There
Right.
was no iPad. So you'd be like looking out the window, counting cars.
Right, playing the license plate game.
And then how many times did you tell your parents, like, are you there yet? I remember one trip my parents gave us a roll of quarters. Every time you asked how much longer, you had to give a quarter.
Actually, that's really smart.
That's hilarious.
You realize how much money you're losing.
So then my brother and I were trying to come up with ways like, how many do you think, like, to get around specifically phrasing it that way? It was pretty funny.
Kim, good morning. Parents give their children tablets now, not years ago.
Sure.
And then Kelly, the only one that has textbooks in my house is my college student. So more and more technology means more and more reliance on that, especially in the classroom.
Let's also say these kids are going to be pros at technology as they get older. Okay, the last thing we want to talk about is that warm weather this weekend. It's bringing back some spring and summer favorites like seasonal restaurants. Old Man River on Niagara Street in Tonawanda, opening for the season tomorrow. Made of the Mist set sail for the first time this season on Saturday. Delaware Park, Cazenovia Park, both those golf courses are open right now. What are you doing today to get out and just enjoy this warm weather?
I think this is one of those days where you go out and you just take a walk, you enjoy, you savor, you look up at the sun and you just feel the warmth beating down on your face. It's really a nice reward for everything that we've been through over the last couple of months.
We've had a little bit of wind the past couple of days, and I've noticed that my dog goes outside and goes like this into the wind, and his like little ears blow, and I'm like, yes.
Exactly. We understand, Bandit.
He does exactly what you're talking about. He's just like appreciating it.
But the Maid of the Mist, I mean, to be kicking off early like this, I mean, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There's been very little ice, if any, in the river. So, I mean, they're able just to kind of take off and
Mary
set sail.
says, smell the air. It's been a long winter.
And Kelly says she can't wait. Finally, a warm day with no wind. That's great. Listen, Josh is going to be tracking that 7 weather forecast for us after this break, and we're going to be touching 80 in some places today and tomorrow as well. It's 5:21. You're watching Good Morning Buffalo.
With your 7 weather forecast, here's meteorologist Josh Nichols.
We've been through a lot lately, Western New York. Now is the time to reap the reward and enjoy and savor the moment, because we've got so much sunshine and so much gorgeous spring weather to look forward to from hilltop to lakeshore. Starting out, really with yesterday. Today's a carbon copy of yesterday with a good supply of sunshine, and temperatures will be just a few degrees higher. We've got sun and near record high temperatures for tomorrow, and it stays warm into the weekend, although the trend there is for showers to return and cloudier skies to return as well. Today, though, nothing but sunshine. Just savor the day. 64 should do it downtown. And we're going to illustrate here in depth just a little bit how all weather is local. Okay, we're talking about wind gusts here for this afternoon that'll be on the order of about 30 miles an hour. So if you're downtown by the waterfront, for example, you will still have that fresh southwest breeze. Natural air conditioning off Lake Erie. 53 right now in Buffalo, but we do have temperatures as high as near 70 in Dunkirk, 61 Rochester, 57 in the Falls. We're at 56 in Jamestown. Check out all that clear sky. Expansive, high pressure, large and in charge with that bubble. There is no trouble. We are good to go here for the day today. But again, that breeze is going to be fresh. So if you're downtown, you're into the low 60s, but you don't have to head too far inland to Depew and Clarence to see temperatures flirting with 70 degrees. Same is true up here towards Lockport, Medina, and Albion. Low and mid 70s. Pendleton, you're at 67 for a high. And check this out. We could be near 76 in Wellsville, and I wouldn't be shocked to see some valleys near 80 degrees. Have a check of that Super 7-day forecast. We'll go in depth here a little bit about the weekend, because there are some changes coming our way. Showers, cooler breezes, could even see some snowflakes flying into the upper Great Lakes. And then we work our way into early next week, and we're talking about much cooler breezes and a whole other ballgame. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Bottom of the hour on the start of your Thursday. New developments this morning in the ruling against a widely used abortion pill, where the court now stands, and what could happen if the case is sent up the ladder.
Because our intent is always to respect and honor that. That's been a key foundational piece here at Iroquois.
We're following the big changes coming to the Iroquois School District, why students may be saying goodbye to their mascot.
The sun is not up just yet, but when it does get up, it is going to deliver with a taste of summer on the way. Temperatures heading for 80. I'll let you know how long it lasts.
Then we're helping you save at the farmers market this summer. The new items you'll be able to get for a discount. But first, at the bottom of the hour, we'll say good morning to you. You're looking live at Lake Erie, the harbor, along Route 5. A gorgeous start to our Thursday, and it's only going to get better from here. We'll say good morning to you at 5:30. Thanks so much for being with us. It was 55, now 53. Doesn't matter. We're starting the day warm.
Yeah, because we could see some record temperatures on our way the next couple of days, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there will be many towns checking in with high temperatures closing in on 80 degrees. Not so much yet here in downtown Buffalo, because we are going to find a cool breeze out of the southwest still. Natural air conditioning off Lake Erie. Today is a carbon copy of yesterday. Tomorrow, sun and those near record high temperatures, and it stays warm into the weekend. I'm forecasting a high of 79 on Friday. The record is 78, set back in 1968. So that's a record that has stood for some time. I think they'll be dancing in the streets. We'll have projected wind gusts here for the day today, right around 30 miles per hour, so not too far off where we were yesterday. Right now, 53 degrees, still a little bit of a fresh breeze. Feels very nice out there here in Buffalo. It's about 5 to almost 10 degrees warmer right now than it was at this time yesterday. Look at Super Doppler and satellite. Not a cloud to be had. So if you're heading out to the bus stop this morning, heading off to school, you'll have that bright sunshine with the sun getting up right around 6:37 or so. We'll head home to temperatures into the mid-60s and more sun. We'll let you know how long that 80-degree warmth will last when I come back.
Okay, Josh, thank you. 5:32, all new for you overnight. A federal appeals court has ruled a widely used abortion pill should not be immediately blocked, keeping the drug accessible and available for doctors to use for now. Thing is, the court did keep in place some provisions of a lower court order restricting how much the FDA can offer the drug.
As our Joe St. George reports, this latest opinion is far from the end of this debate, and a ruling by the Supreme Court is likely.
An overnight ruling means mifepristone for now can still be offered in states where medication abortion is legal, but that the FDA must stop offering the drug through the mail. The reality is this latest ruling is far from the end of this debate. An appeal to the Supreme Court is likely, which is why it's important to know the facts. Fact number one, if mifepristone is banned in a later ruling, medication abortions can still occur in states where abortion is legal. That's because mifepristone isn't the only drug abortion providers can use. Typically, mifepristone is used with the drug misoprostol in a medication abortion. Multiple organizations have said, though, that using just one drug, misoprostol, is safe and effective too. In fact, that method has been approved by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists and the World Health Organization. Some providers, though, have reported that option can produce more side effects. This week, Scripps News spoke with Jen Klein, the director of President Biden's Gender Policy Council. The White House is remaining optimistic.
I think that we are going to be in a position where we can continue to ensure access to mifepristone.
Fact number two, advocates won't easily give up offering the abortion drug even if the pill is blocked. Elisa Wells with Plan C, a reproductive rights advocacy group, says efforts to stockpile the drug in preparation of a ban have been underway for months. Her website provides free legal advice and details how options vary state to state. In some cases, her website recommends picking up pills in Mexico.
There is this robust pipeline of pills that come in mostly through India. We know these are coming in the tens of thousands.
In fact, number three, conservatives have the legal advantage. That's because the Supreme Court is just as conservative now as it was when it issued its abortion decision last year. Carol Tobias, the president of National Right to Life, says anti-abortion groups like hers want to stop as many abortions as possible, and legal challenges like this will be common.
We knew that it was not going to be over once the court overturned Roe.
Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.
All right, Joe, thank you. Now, yesterday we told you how Governor Hochul's office is vowing to protect access to abortion medication. The governor says the state will reserve 150,000 doses of that drug here in New York State.
It's 5:35, all new for you this morning. The 7 News I-team speaking exclusively with the owners of Club Marcella about the club's safety after two shootings, one of them deadly, earlier this year.
What happened that terrible night was a new threat. We had never had a gun in 30 years inside of any of our places.
Since the shooting, I've learned a 9-foot wooden fence has been installed along with a number of surveillance cameras that can pan and zoom to watch what's happening outside the club. All of those cameras are watched in real time, but the owners say there are also 18 to 20 guards on a Saturday night, 2 armed guards outside, 2 pat-downs, a metal detector, and wanding if necessary. Joe Marcello, the owner, showed me everything they've taken away at the door, insisting their security measures are working and were working the night of both shootings.
We take everything out of people. This is safety. I cannot tell you any other place that they're safe. We do our job. Okay, I cannot guarantee what other people are doing, but I know I'm doing my job to protect my business.
The accused shooter, Sharif McBroom, is still out there and is yet to be arrested. Crime Stoppers offering a $7,500 reward for information leading to his arrest. But the question remains, how did a gun make it inside the club? I'll answer that question tonight on 7 News at 6. You'll also hear from one of the security guards who was shot. He's defending the security guards who were on duty that night and what the club owners feel responsible for. Then in the meantime, you can read my full iTeam exclusive right now on WKBW.com. 5:37 this morning, 2 high school athletes accused of harassing a teammate are fighting to be allowed back in school. Star Point High School suspended the rest of its wrestling season after learning about serious allegations back in February. Last month, the Niagara County Sheriff's Office charged 2 17-year-olds with harassment, and now an attorney for one of the students says they plan to sue so they can go back to the classroom.
The school district, under its policy, is required to provide us with the individual risk and safety assessment that it purportedly conducted, leading to the emergency removal of the 2 boys from their classes. They never did that. And right now, even though the boys are not subject to technical discipline, they're not suspended from school, they're not in class.
The school is providing alternative education for the students with tutors after school hours. The students' attorneys will be in state Supreme Court later this month, following up on this case, Katie.
The New York State Board of Regents will soon vote on regulations forcing schools to change offensive indigenous names and logos, and that includes the Iroquois School District. If they don't fit those new state regulations, the district could lose funding. Back in November, the state education department issued a new rule saying school districts around the state have to eliminate Native American mascots, logos, and names that might be considered offensive. While some schools, like Salamanca, are working to get an exception, others, like Iroquois, have to make some changes fast.
We've been informed by New York State that Iroquois is absolutely fine at this point. It would just be the name chiefs that we use and the Native American male figurehead that is associated with it.
So the district is right now waiting to see if the Seneca Nation grants them permission to keep the current logo. Meantime, school leaders and students are working together to draft new name and mascot ideas. They're going to present their final options to the school board in June. And we are helping you make ends meet this morning as new data shows inflation is cooling down to its lowest level